I am Captain Spawn, and this is day 312 of Spawn Year. If forethought were a natural, tangible element, I would mine it, bottle it, and donate it to all the fiction writers of the world. If only that were part of my Mountain Dew-derived power set. Issue number 171 opens by answering a big plot question I had with yesterday's issue. How did Spawn know what Ab and Zab were doing and where to find them? As if he'd read my entry and was trying to sweep that oversight under the rug, Hines spends the whole first page explaining it with a scene that should have been in the last issue to more logically transition from one scene to the next. Nix talks to a raven, no, the raven doesn't talk back, that saw Ab and Zab, and Spawn saw them through its eyes, because as we all know, Spawn is one with all the dark and vile creatures of the world. You know, all those evil creatures, in a world where heaven and hell are neither good or evil. And we were reminded of this last issue as part of that creatures doing what they're naturally born to theme. There's actually a one-panel flashback to the end of Spawn and Nix's conversation from last issue, showing Spawn finding out about Ab and Zab. Wow. That kind of lack of planning tells me a lot about why this series on the whole is so badly designed. Here's a thought: write 2 or 3 or 4 issues, at least rough drafts, before you send one off to the artist. Then maybe you'll notice when you forgot to explain why Spawn knows where to go, and you can go back and put it in the correct issue instead of backtracking and hoping your audience is too stupid to notice. Anyway, against Spawn's orders, Nix springs into action, assuming the presence of the bird means he's in trouble, although I have no idea how she's sure that's the right bird, and it's super convenient that it just shows up out of nowhere. I might have bought an explanation about the mystical connection between Spawn and Nix, or something about her magical powers of perception, but we get nothing. But I'm expecting too much as always. This is a Spawn comic. Only recaps are for explanation. I'm supposed to read 22 pages of what, huh, and then let a 250-word block of text interpret it for me. I bet the Billy Kincaid teddy bear Todd McFarlane got through high school on Cliff's Notes. But I like Nix's initiative. If anything's ever going to get done in a Spawn story, somebody else has got to do the doing. Because as usual, he's busy feeling sorry for himself, and this time that all-consuming pity party is literally consuming him. Because it turns out the portals Ab and Zab open to hell have summoned a Sin Eater, a demon that physically projects a person's worst sin and then feeds on the guilt. That's what that horrifying creature I praised Haberlin for dreaming up last issue is. For a moment, Al thinks it's his party and he can die if he wants to. But Nix manages to snap him out of his disparaging stupor so he can start spouting classic melodramatic Spawn one-liners like, "You dared to take her form, to defile her," and "You filth," and my personal favorite, "You fed on your last victim, you scum-sucking bleep." Yep, nothing gets me really rooting for a protagonist like angry screaming and exclamation points. Speaking of, there's a lot of awkward dialogue this issue, and that's normal for this book. I've become so inoculated to it, I expect to be a blathering idiot with a vocabulary of 60 words and an IQ of the same number when I get back home. So there's something really wrong if it's jumping out at me this late in the game. Ab and Zab have been tied upside down by Spawn, and when Nix finds them, Ab says, "Hey doll, you think you can get us down from here?" And Nix responds with, "Calling me doll doesn't entirely help your case." Entirely? Does it somewhat help their case? Is she saying he's being a chauvinist jerk, or that she's charmed by him but it doesn't change their situation? Before Spawn finishes off the Sin Eater, he doesn't hesitate to brutally murder its offspring. I wouldn't have thought anything of this, especially because at first I thought they were dismembered body parts rather than children, until the monster pleads with Spawn for mercy, saying the children are innocent. But Spawn, in the sort of mindless, irrational berserker rage he always seems to go into when someone impersonates or threatens or badmouths or mentions or wonders about or offhandedly references or vaguely reminds him of Wanda, says, "Then let's keep it that way," and blast the innocent creatures without any thought to the implications. This is consistent with his worldview as presented last issue. Spawn believes all beings to be whatever they are without the capacity to be more. Whatever anyone does is because nature commands it. That's why he's repelled by Nyx's attempt to change his appearance to anything but the nightmare monster he thinks he is. And after seeing that God and Satan themselves are crippling babies who can't move beyond their petty hatred for one another, I can see where he's coming from. It would be nice if he mentioned his unique understanding of how messed up creation really is somewhere, because that's where this attitude should come from. And in Spawn's experience, demons do only what they're created for. Ab and Zab just proved it once again. So he's killing demon babies he knows can be nothing but sin eaters. So I'm not saying it's the same as killing human children, but while he thinks he too is a slave to his nature, I don't think he realizes the magnitude to which he's proving that here. His greatest sin, which he's furious for having to relive, was causing Wanda's miscarriage, and in retaliation, he's murdering babies. So the past returning to haunt you motif pays off at the end when we discover that the priest running the Hell House is none other than the little brother Al forgot he had, because apparently he still has amnesia whenever Hein wants to further complicate his past. At one point, Spawn actually says, "Why is so much of my past hidden?" Well, Spawn, because McFarlane and Hein still haven't totally made up their minds about what you are, and they haven't dreamed it up yet. And it still bugs me that every time someone with repressed memories selectively hidden by a cosmic force are confronted with anything related to that memory, they instantly have access to it and remember everything related to that. Is that by design? Did Bolgi do that? Why? And then, another gigantic bombshell. The brothers are confronted by the soul from hell of a man they murdered in 1980. Well, I'm glad we're finally shedding more light on how Al became so obsessed with killing, and his brother going on the opposite repentant spiritual path is intriguing, but once again, in issue 171, we don't get this information until 2007? And also, it seems pretty convenient that Ab and Zab just happened to go to Al's brother's place. Despite irritating continuity stuff and silly dialogue, this is actually the most straightforward and intelligible plotting we've had in a while, and it's nice to see Hein really trying to explore characters and ideas. Oh, and why does the Sin Eater talk like the snake from the Jungle Book? Signed, Captain Spawn.